Good morning. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our Word of the Day series. We're doing a bonus class today, and I'm going to be covering quite a few words in this class. I have a long list of your requests, and I'm working my way through them, so I wanted to cover a few more today. We'll have our regular Word of the Day class in about half an hour. You can watch that when this class is finished. And in that class, we'll be talking about the word hilarious. But let's look at some of the requests that have come in. And this class is going to be definitely a mishmash, a variety of words that may or may not be related, but that didn't fit nicely into any other classes. So quite an interesting group of words today. First of all, we have the word mourning, and this word mourning was the one that was requested. So for example, mourning the loss of someone or something. And the simple explanation is that the mourning that we do in grief, as well as mourning the time of the day, have the same pronunciation. So when we break that down, the first syllable is stressed, and it has the or diphthong. That's going to be probably the main challenge for many people, is being able to easily and smoothly say the or. In American English, we have that tight R sound. We go from the O shape to the shape, or. And you might find that it's easier to say it more or by itself. So build from there. So you can try or, more, morning. The other challenge here may be that the N-I-N-G sound, that second syllable, is challenging. Just watch out that for the N sound in mourn, the front of your tongue lifts, and in the NG sound in ing, the back of your tongue lifts. So morning. When I can say morning by itself, I want to practice in some short phrases. You may want to say something like, she's been in mourning for 2 weeks. This morning, I am really just actively mourning that loss. Okay, so thank you for that request. If you have requests that you'd like to see as part of the series, do feel free to leave those in the comments and I will add them to the list. Next on our list was the word query. And the viewer wanted to know about the word question as well as the word query. So we'll briefly cover question. I will also redirect you to my video for the word question. So after class, I'll put a little comment in the comments with timestamps to tell you what we talked about today. And if there's additional videos and resources, I'll direct you there. One thing to note, we typically use question in American English when we're talking about communication, questioning someone. Query is, we don't really use that. I don't typically say I'm going to query her. We use it sometimes in programming language if you're going to make a query. And, you know, it's a correct word in English, but it's much more common to hear Americans use question. Query may be more common in other dialects of English. So for the word question, for both of these, we have first syllable stress, and the QU says the K and W sound. In question, we have the E sound, question, the S sound, and then a CH, question. A little bit of a schwa before our N, so it would sound like question. You can think of this as having a little bit of a T sound, but really that T is part of the CH sound of chun, question. Then when we look at query, again, first syllable stress, letter E is the tense E sound in query. And then we have another tense E for the Y syllable. But the first one is going to be longer. The second one is going to be shorter because we have a stressed vowel and an unstressed vowel. Query. Thinking of that as having the ear diphthong might help you, because looking at that QUER, hard to know how that would be pronounced. ER is often pronounced as sometimes air. In this word, a little bit unusual, it's pronounced as ear. Again, any word that has an R, you might want to build from the R. So starting with ear, weir, queer, query, that might help you. Okay, let's see what else we have on the list for today. Many of these requests came in several months ago, so if you made a request and you haven't seen your video yet, it is still coming. I'm working my way through the list. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. I will, if there's time at the end, take the questions for those of you who are here live. I do want to cover these earlier requests, though, first. So we had a request for the word bathrobe. Bathrobe. So bathrobe is a good example of a compound word. We have the word bath and the word robe put together, bathrobe, a robe you wear after the bath. In compound words that are like this one, we have stress on both syllables. The primary stress is going to be on the bath syllable, but unlike if I were to say something like, let's see, it doesn't really work for bath, but if I had bat and batter, in a word like batter, I have first syllable stress and then no stress on the second syllable. But in the word bathrobe, I also have to have some length and stress on the robe, or it's going to sound like bathrobe. It doesn't sound correct. So it has a clear vowel and secondary stress on the second syllable. In the dictionary, it's going to look like this, with the primary stress marker up above, and then a secondary stress marker down below to show you that you also need to stress on the robe. Vowels in bathrobe, letter A is the A vowel, like in black and cat. One way to help you with that is you can think about cat in a bathrobe or a black bathrobe and match that A vowel. And then the O, just watch out that you hold that for that long diphthong American O, bathrobe. We may or may not release that B sound. I'm not necessarily going to say bathrobe with the strong B, bathrobe. I might leave that unreleased depending on the context. Okay, then we had a request for the word font size. Font size. So looking at that font size, you can hear how one noticeable thing is that I don't really release that T. So I'm not saying font size with a break between. I just close to make the T, font size, and then I release right into the S. So that's just typically what we do when a word ends with T and the next word starts with a consonant sound. The letter O in font has the A vowel. So you might think of that as fa. That might help you thinking it as an A. Font. And then letter I in size is going to say its name. It's going to say the I diphthong because the E at the end makes that happen. So we have the I diphthong, letter Z says Z, font size. Again, with all of these words, trying some short phrases, practicing them, building up from the correct pronunciation into longer phrases and sentences is going to help you use those fluently and easily in your everyday speech. If you'd like more than just pronunciation for our Word of the Day words, you can go to speechmodification.com, check out our free online courses. We have a Word of the Day course, and that course includes definitions as well as these videos for pronunciation, so you can work on if you come across a word that you don't recognize or you need some help knowing how to correctly pronounce that, you can use that Word of the Day course for that. Okay, got a little bit of some dirt here on my board, so let me try to clear that off. Give me just a moment, please. All right, let's look next at our next word is the word rhyme. This one I think is actually a little bit trickier to spell than to pronounce. But because of the spelling, that might be why it's challenging to know how to pronounce it. So it's unusual in that it has the H letter and the Y letter for the I sound. Right away, the first thing I want to do is just rewrite this in a way that might make more sense, which is with an R-I-M-E. Like the word lime, the E would make the I say its name. So in this case, the Y, letter Y, says the I diphthong, and the H is silent. So looking at it, just one syllable word, we have the I diphthong and the M sound, rhyme. I often suggest, as you are working on pronunciation, it can be really helpful to learn the symbols for pronunciation in the dictionary that you prefer. I use the IPA, which is the International Phonetic Alphabet, and you can check out my videos for all of the consonant sounds of English and all of the vowel sounds of English in my Sounds of English course, and give you an overview of all of them in one video, as well as lessons for each sound, show you the symbols, show you how to read the dictionary, tell you which common words those sounds are in and how to pronounce them, also what accent error patterns to watch out for. That course is just $1.99, so it's a great way to get some good foundations for pronunciation that will help you on any word you want to know, as well as using the dictionary and just improving your overall pronunciation for American English. I also do like rewriting the words in a way that might make more sense to your brain. So once you know what the sounds are in something like rhyme, if this one helps you remember that it sounds like I'm, rhyme, then you can rewrite that, or you can visualize that when you see this written word rhyme that might be more confusing and give you some challenge there. One other word I can think of that's spelled that way. So we have lime, like the fruit, and then we also have Lyme. You may have heard of Lyme disease carried by ticks. So those two have the same pronunciation. But Lyme is spelled similarly to rhyme, except it doesn't have the H. And of course, it has different sounds. Okay, other words I wanted to cover. So as you see, it's quite an interesting mix today. Just little odds and ends that have been requested that were great requests. Thank you so much for all of you who've made these requests. And sometimes I like to cover words that are together in a theme. So there are some other videos coming, words that are grouped with similar pronunciation or similar root words. These were all just kind of a hodgepodge or smorgasbord, I'd like to call it. Okay, looking at our next word is terracotta. Terracotta, as in the pottery. So in terracotta, I would say as a phrase overall, our main stress is going to be on the terracotta. Within the word terra, first syllable stress. And this ER, unlike the ER we saw in query, which was an ear, this one is an air. So I'll write it this way, but I want you to visualize it like the word air, if that helps you. Tear, air, tear. And then this A, second syllable, unstressed, is just an unstressed schwa, so tear-a. Then our main stress in the phrase is going to go on the kata syllable. Letter O, when it's stressed in a single syllable word or the stressed syllable word, most often in English, American English, is an ah sound. So when I see that O, I might think O or ah or something more rounded. Visualizing it as the ah, either AH or A, might help you change over and make sure that you get that correct pronunciation, terracotta. These two T's go together like a D sound or a flap T, kata, not kata, but kata, terracotta. And again, another unstressed schwa. So terracotta. So terracotta, main length there and some stress elsewhere. That's a good one. Thank you for that request. And then three more. We had a request for the phrase or the word woolly mammoth. So when we look at woolly, that's a bit challenging. And then mammoth. So the woolly mammoth, we have this wool and woolly are one of the few words with OO that don't say the oo sound. It's not woolly, but rather woolly. It's the vowel that we have in the word wood, or this kind of wood, good, should, push. Those vowels are all the sound. And so in woolly, it might help you to visualize it as a U, or just use one of these words that you know you're saying the vowel correctly, like wood, woolly, push, woolly. Feel that lax, rounded, high vowel. So not oo, not so tense, but rather more relaxed, like good, wool, woolly. The first syllable is stressed in woolly, and the Y says the tense E sound. Woolly mammoth. Again, the main stress in the overall phrase is going to be on the mam syllable. That has the A vowel. And then this letter O is unstressed, and so it says vowel schwa, the sound. Woolly mammoth. So rewriting it, I would think maybe like this. Woolly, or if you know how to do the wool, whichever way is going to help you visualize and hear that vowel. Woolly mammoth. Woolly mammoth. Okay. Then we had a request for the word fiance. I think the person who requested this may have come to the live class and requested it and may have answered it, but I think others may be interested in that word as well. We do have a live question and answer class every Friday at 12 o'clock Seattle time, and a members only question and answer class on Sundays at 10 o'clock Seattle time. That's a time that you can come ask your questions and get an answer live. You can also leave comments and questions on any video. I do go through all of those comments and reply to you, give you links for resources here on YouTube and also on my website, Speech Modification, to help you. Many times your questions and requests have already been asked and answered elsewhere, and I can direct you to where you can find that. I know sometimes it's challenging to find a specific video, so I never mind. If you ask, I'd be happy to request that. And oftentimes you're asking about something new, and then I'll include it on my list to cover in a future class. So I do hope you'll be able to come back and attend our live class on Friday. It's a great way to get an answer right away. And if you're interested in channel membership, that's a way to support the channel as well as not to have to wait so long for your requests, because channel members can ask their questions at any time, and I answer them the same week in our Sunday class that they can either watch live or as a replay. Okay, let's look at fiance. So fiance has two options. I can either do fiance or fiancé, and this is for the masculine, two E's. Fiance is the feminine. That I think is more likely to have the second pronunciation, fiancé. I think of fiance as being the one E, and that was what was requested. But that might just be in my head. I think either way, these are pretty much interchangeable, so you can stress either the second or the third syllable. Most important is getting the vowel sounds correct. So we have the letter I says E, the E vowel, like fee. That's an uncommon pronunciation in English, but this is a loan word, obviously, from the French, so it follows more of the French rules. Americans use this A sound, the ah for the A, fion, and then letter C says the S sound, say, and we use an A diphthong because we Americanize it. So they wouldn't use that in the French because they just have a single monophthong there, but we have a diphthong, A. So fi on say. So either fiance or fiancé. I think this one is probably a little bit more common for American speakers, but both are acceptable. Okay, and then let's look at the last request I wanted to cover that came in previously was for the phrase or for the word short-lived. And this viewer wanted to know the American versus the British version of this. So there's really only a small difference between the two. The main way of pronouncing short-lived is the same in both, and that would be with the or diphthong for American English. Whenever there's an R, we say an R sound in American English. So it sounds like short. We would stop that T and release it into the L, short-lived. That's a lax I sound. And then lived, we just go right from the V to the D. So that sounds like the word short, lived. It's basically not that different than how it looks in the IPA. British English, they're going to do it more like short. So they do For this O, they're going to do kind of an aw, or oa with a schwa there instead of the R sound. Short-lived. Same pronunciation for the lived in the British. So it's just how Americans say R versus how British people say R. I do have a video about American R versus British R that can help you a little bit more with this one. You can also see in the dictionary pronunciation short-lived rather than short-lived, which I think is a lot less common in American English, but not necessarily incorrect. I would recommend, though, going with short-lived. I lived, it was short-lived. Okay, so thank you so much for all of those requests. I do have still, as I mentioned, a long list of your requests for our Word of the Day series. I'll keep doing our daily classes. And in about 9 minutes, we'll have today's class where we're going to talk about the word hilarious. So for just a few minutes until we get to that 9 o'clock time for class, I'll look and see, read your comments and see if there's some live questions to cover today as well. Okay, so we had a question for the word inquiry. Hopefully you're still here. You made your inquiry a while ago. So query we talked about, and inquiry has a different stress pattern. So first syllable stress, inquiry, and then instead of an ear like in query, it just has the sound. So it sounds like inquiry. We made an inquiry into that. Not easy. I would start probably with the quer, and you can also kind of build from were, quer, inquiry. That's a tough one. Thank you for that request, and fits in nicely with our question about query, which we talked about in the beginning of class. All right. Question for the word fluently. Let's see, I misspelled it. UE, not EU. So it has the oo sound. So if I were to rewrite it with 2 O's, that might help you. Also, the IPA would be this way. Fluent. We pretty much don't do much of a vowel before that N. Fluent. I guess you have to kind of do a little bit of a schwa there, fluent. Otherwise, because it's not floon, but fluent. So there's a syllable break there. Fluent. We use a stopped T and we release right into the li. So fluently. 3 syllables, fluently. So you could start with fluent with a little T, fluent, stop it, fluently. Funny, the word fluently, to say it fluently, you have to stop and go again. It's not fully fluent within that word. Okay, let's see, any other requests? Let's see, we have a request for flower and flower. So I do have a video for this after class. I'll put it in the timestamps in a comment so you can see the link for that. These two are the same, and probably the best way to think of them is this way. They have the ow diphthong, ow, which is also in words like now or how. So if you can say the ow sound, then add low, lower, flower. Thinking of it as like flow. That looks like flow, but it's an ow. Or if this one helps you, flower. If one of them seems easy to pronounce, they should both be the same. You just don't want any difference between the two. So I picked some flowers and I used flour for the cake. Yes, that's a common question, a little bit confusing because the spelling is the same. We had a request for the word quarrel. Boy, that's a tough one too, isn't it? Quarrel. So I do have a video for the word quarter that might help you, because that quar part, thinking of it as building from or. So this is an or. The AR says or. It's kind of weird, right? So try or, war, quar. And then quarrel, you need a dark L at the end. So my video for dark L at the ends of words is going to help you. Leave the back of the tongue down and lift the front of the tongue. O, then add your R, roll, oral, quarrel. So there is like the word oral within the word quarrel. Not that that word's any easier, but breaking it down, visualizing it in a new way, and figuring out, is it the R, is it the L, is it the R and L together that give me the hardest time? Going slowly and take practice on R, practice on final L, and then work on putting it together in a word like quarrel. Okay. So question, short-lived or short-lived, either way is okay. Yes, I did mention that you can say short-lived. I think it's more common to say short-lived, and short-lived might sound a little strange. But listen, if you're using it, listen to people around you, see how they use it. Where I have lived, I don't ever hear anybody say short-lived. I rather often hear short-lived, though. Okay. Request for with and these. I do have videos for each of these words. I also think that you'll like my videos on American TH. So I have an American TH playlist. Also, in my Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com, you can get help with the TH, voiceless TH like in with, and the voiced TH like in these. Some people say with a voiced TH, so you can do either with or with. In either case, tongue between the teeth for the TH sound. With has the I vowel. I use the voiceless TH. These, this SE says the Z sound. This E is the tense E, and again, voiced TH, these. With these. If you're doing them together, with these, you can glide and connect those two THs, go from voiceless to voiced, with these, or with these, with these. Yes, common everyday words, but challenging, definitely. Thank you for your, so the question was whether or not we use a different pronunciation for either with. Either one you can, some people just prefer to use voiced with, some use voiceless with. Often in words like within and without, I still say it voiceless without, but a lot of people will use the voiced one with within and without. For me, I guess probably where I grew up, it was just more typical to use voiceless without, within, whatever's easier for you. Linking TH with other words is hard. Yes, definitely. I have some videos about how to work on linking TH, especially in common combinations like in the and on the, or I just recently did a video about linking TH and R together. So I'll suggest you go to my channel page, Speech Modification Seattle, and look there in the recent videos, and you should be able to find it. If I have time after class, I'll also go back and put a link to that video for you in the comments. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for today. We have our word of the day is starting in just 1 minute. So if you stay on here after class, you can watch that video. If you have other requests that I didn't get to today in this live class, do come back to our Friday live question and answer class, or leave me a comment on this video or any of my videos, and I'll direct you to resources and cover your word in a future word of the day class. Thanks for being with me here live today for our bonus class. It was great to see everyone. I look forward to seeing you again in just a moment for our word of the day class, our regular class, as well as on Friday in our live question and answer class. Thanks, everyone. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone.